Well, welcome to the Business Spotlight series. My name is Tanner O'Brien. I'm a senior partner here at Action Coach in Central Texas. Today, I'm sitting down with Brian Krpec, who is the owner of Affluent Exteriors. I'm excited to be jumping in, talking a little bit about business, talk a little bit about this crazy entrepreneurial journey that many of us are on. So, Brian, thank you for taking the time to be here. First of all, why don't we just start with a little bit of background? Give us kind of the 10,000-foot view of who you are and tell us a little bit about Affluent Exteriors.
No, great. Thanks for having me, Tanner. Yeah, Brian Krpec, Affluent Exteriors. I guess it's kind of an interesting story in that I'm really kind of a 25-year IT technology salesperson, kind of for starters, and then obviously spent the last 6.5 years as the vice president of global sales for a software company in the fintech space. Started Affluent Exteriors really kind of as a side hustle. I think that's kind of the new thing for most entrepreneurs nowadays, of just how do I kind of go out and find other channels of revenue to help support myself and my family. Kind of spurned out from going through a hailstorm and an insurance claim process in the late 2017 timeframe. We're over in Westlake Hills area of Austin. The experience for me wasn't kind of what I expected it to be in working with the contractor, and not really kind of having an online experience of seeing project photos and conversations and everything kind of being the way that we see things and how we interact in the professional world and the IT side of things. So kind of thought, just entrepreneurial background in nature, there's got to be a better way to serve a client segment that really desires this type of visibility and capability and really knowledge and understanding of what's going on, why are we doing these things, and help me, guide me and become that trusted advisor along the way. So started as a side hustle, like I said. COVID was pretty tough for us. We scaled up to about 13 and COVID went back to one at the end of the day. But just one of those things where if you're an entrepreneur, you just don't quit. You either innovate or you disintegrate. So you find a way to kind of get through the hurdles and continue to push forward and stay disciplined. And I guess probably about 6 months ago, in the beginning, we focused just on roofing, but a lot of the folks that we were doing jobs for were asking, what about siding? What about some of these other things? And while some of the folks we think in the industry kind of do this roofing and construction component to the brand that they want to do, we wanted to pivot and really be more just full exteriors. So really don't care if you don't have gutter needs. You still have other needs around your home or your multifamily property or commercial building. So that really kind of changed our trajectory in regards to revenue streams. And a few months ago, just couldn't continue doing this as a side hustle, and kind of had to take a leave on where I was at the current time and go all in on Affluent. So it's been a heck of a ride. We've got 6 people here. So we do have a presence throughout the state of Texas. We have clients in all the major metropolitan areas: Austin, San Antonio, Houston, Dallas, Fort Worth, and Lubbock. Have people in some of those locations. We obviously spend a little bit of road time as well when we need to get somewhere for a particular opportunity or job. But 6 people here running at least 15 crews currently for projects. And it's been a ride. There's a lot of plates spinning in the air right now, let's just say.
Man, what a journey. So I'm going to ask the obvious, questions right off the bat. And, this transition from the career that you had leading up to, starting this as a side hustle and then making the leap to this is the focus, this is the only focus. What was that like? What was that transition like for you? Was there some fear with it? Was it just, nope, I'm all good, I'm excited, this is the direction we're going to go? But kind of walk us through what that felt like for you making that
Yeah.
transition.
I know. I'd like to say probably a combination of fear. Like if you're not really pushing you better get comfortable being uncomfortable, right? But at the same time, almost a breath of fresh air. Kind of getting out of not having to constantly travel the globe and being away from family and working with larger organizations, to really kind of reeling that back home, if you will. And still working with those same professionals, just not in the corporate environment, but more in the environment around, this is some of the most prized assets that they home and that they have regarding their homes or rentals or what have you. So still kind of talking and dealing with the same folks, just getting a little bit more personal about the quality of type of service that we're doing it. But at the end of the day, it's still the same level of professionalism that you have to deliver, regardless if it's a corporate environment or someone's personal property.
I love that. So, um, I always like to ask a couple questions around roles within the business or the different
Yeah.
hats that you get to wear. So started as a side hustle, things have shifted and changed over the years, and now kind of growing into a couple different revenue streams, different things that the business is doing. For you individually, how many different hats do you get to wear in the business? We'll frame it that way. Get
Yeah,
to wear.
no, I think it's a little bit different in that, as a side hustle, I mean, I've had the opportunity to implement a lot of process, a lot of automation that really helps us top of funnel, move things down to more realistic opportunity measurement, right? Kind of running sales always gave me the opportunity to measure and understand, am I kind of doing a smaller transaction? Am I working on kind of an enterprise transaction here? And who are all the people and processes that need to be put in place around that. So I think that really helped in regards to that vote of confidence when it was, okay, we're going to go all in. A lot of the building blocks and those pieces were already in place. And now it's just being able to manage that funnel at scale. So some of the things that we were doing when it was a side hustle wasn't necessarily, let's just turn on the full throttle, but let's throttle back a little bit, just because the amount of time that I could really invest in that, knowing that I was obviously responsible for another career and the responsibility to that employer. But finally going all in, right, the whole hog, if you will, my boy over at Arkansas. Man, just having those pieces in place really kind of gives you a sense of good operating procedures, good way to process that. I think our biggest challenge right now is just trying to find more folks that do what I do, which is I'm doing the client meetings, I'm having the conversations, and then obviously figuring out what's the scope of work, which of the subcontractor trades do I need to bring in. And then we've got a project manager on board already that's really helped us kind of vet this massive subcontractor network out there of who does really quality work, given some of the client segments that we service. It's a very high touch, white glove type approach for sure.
Very cool. I love that. So you mentioned, being able to kind of analyze the sales process a bit, understanding how that funnel works from top to bottom, and having kind of a depth of knowledge and skill from previous experience. Um, as a someone that works with businesses all the time, I know the importance of kind of marketing and sales and understanding, analyzing the different pieces, especially within the sales funnel. Having your experience and expertise now, being able to apply that to this business, are there a couple things that stand out in that process that would be helpful for other entrepreneurs, other business owners that maybe don't have the same level of experience and background, that could help them continue to build their processes as they develop their business?
Yeah, I think the big change is B2B is not B2C. Right. So there's your first leap. I'm not using LinkedIn to try and go find out who in our enterprise I'm trying to reach out to for the particular product or service I deliver. I think really for the consumer side, it's really kind of understanding the market segment that you want to service. It is broad, right? And there are a ton of contractors out there, from the guys that we like to call Chuck in a truck. I've got a ladder and I'm a contractor, and some of those guys are really successful, not to knock them, but there's also contractors out there that service really, really high-end clientele. And there's just a different level of expectation that you have to deliver on that, not only on the quality of work, but also the experience that client has. So we have an online client portal for every one of our customers. They can see all job photos, they can communicate with us through there. They can see, whether it's the inspections we've done, whether it's pre-production, production, final product, online payments, online warranty. And that just takes me all the way back to when I get started around, if I can do the Amazon of basically my life, why can't I do the Amazon type experience of construction? So having that visibility really kind of educates our customers, which in turn kind of makes them some of the best salespeople that we have as well, right? There's nothing better than a real reference coming from a satisfied client that kind of takes a lot of the burden of who are you, where are you from, and let me know more about you versus, man, you guys did a great job for Sally and Jim. We're looking for something the same. Would you be willing to come over and have a conversation with us and understand what that looks like?
So, kind of on that same topic, And you've kind of touched on it a little bit already, but I always like to ask the question of like, who primarily does your business serve? Who is the kind of the ideal customer or client that you work with? And the way I like to frame it up is, if I'm in the audience and I'm watching this later on, how do I know that I would be a really good fit to work with y'all, or I might know somebody that I can refer over to that would be a great fit to work with y'all?
Yeah, no, good question. So, I mean, obviously, I think part of it is just the way that we went regarding the brand and the name of it being Affluent, right? So, obviously, I think we, in some respects, we cater to a little bit of a higher clientele, professionals in the workforce, that have some of the larger homes that are out there. Our exterior trades really kind of get into some of the specialties around stucco, and when we're starting to do some siding and repair, like we do a ton of repair work. Someone's always dinged something or they want to build something off a room or what have you. So I like to say, we're full exteriors so we're roof, solar, siding, stucco, rock block brick, hardy metal, down into, we're even building patios and decks for clients, even getting into custom kitchens. We have been asked to go inside a little bit as well in regards to exterior painting. So interior, exterior painting, all the same. We've had some requests for some remodels. We're maybe dipping our toe in that a little bit. I know that's a bit of a different beast altogether. So I don't want to just chase the shiny coin everywhere, right? But I think the opportunity is we can be really selective on those clients that we can work with. Really be transparent about here's just the time frame, what's required to do this, and then obviously, the proof has got to be in the pudding, right? What's the quality of work that we can deliver on? And then obviously provide a warranty and something behind that. So it's my long-term vision, obviously, of doing this in multiple cities here in the state of Texas. I don't really have any desires to lead the state with the services that we provide, but I think there's a unique opportunity from what we've learned since 2018 and kind of what I like to consider the golden triangle of Austin, San Antonio, and Houston. So prove the model here. We're already starting to dip our toe in some of those other markets, but this is really where we want to prove ourselves. And then, an hour down 35 to San Antonio is nothing. And then 2 hours to Houston is no big deal as well.
Fantastic. So let's get a little granular on marketing for a moment. I always like to dive a little bit deeper on it, simply because it's one of those areas that's vital to every business out there.
Yep.
That doesn't necessarily mean that it's easy for many business owners, especially those that don't have a massive background in kind of marketing or marketing and sales kind of collectively. So I like to just kind of find out what's been working, what hasn't been working, kind of some tips and best practices, things like that. When you look at marketing for your business, now you mentioned kind of one big channel already being word of mouth, client referrals from doing a really, really good job.
Yeah.
Outside of that, what else have you found to be effective for getting the word out there about what y'all do, or finding kind of the ideal clients and starting those initial connections? Kind of what different marketing channels, if you will, have been most effective that you've found for this business?
Now this is kind of you're wanting me to expose the secret sauce a little bit right now. So, I mean, look, at the end of the day, I think so. This industry, if you just look at it in general, right? I mean, it's dominated by TV ads, and if you even search for roofing contractor or exteriors contractor, right? The Home Advisors, the Angies of the world, they're dominating the market and all the ad spend. So, you better learn how to play well with those kind of what I like to call just revenue opportunity channels, if you will, from a marketing perspective. Be selective on what it is. If those are who you're working with, be selective on the trades that you want to obviously take on. Some of those obviously a little bit more competitive than others. But for us, really, it's we leverage a whole bunch of them, right? Outside of word of mouth and just obviously just some of the normal pound and ground. You see something at a property, knock on the door and introduce yourself and have a quick conversation or leave a card behind or send a letter. So all the above in regards to how do you go generate revenue and find new opportunities. It has gotten obviously a lot easier as we've continued to create our brand out there, and word of mouth has really started to help. Outside of not just residential, but we've started to pick up some pretty interesting multifamily clients as part of our portfolio. So Marina Club down here by Austin Country Club has been a really nice partner for us to work with. Again, a lot of higher end condominium homes, stone, stucco, just everyone has either I think the one thing in this industry, right, even for my own home, for goodness sake, like everybody has a repair that's required for something, or everyone has a project. So it's just more of trying to discern, is this something that I can take on or I'm willing to take on? We've said no to some things just because we think it's a little bit beyond our scope, but this contractor community is pretty well networked as well. So I can easily reference, it's definitely not something I'm willing to do, but I can probably introduce you to two or three that you should probably have a conversation with.
Excellent. I love that. So let's fast forward for a moment. Where do you see the business in the next 3 to 5 years? You mentioned kind of ideally being in different cities within the state, that sort of thing. But paint the picture a little bit for where do you see the business in the next 5 years? How does your role change as you continue to grow? But what does that look like?
There's the old adage, right? There's a big difference between working on your business versus working in your business. So I mean, obviously, I see myself kind of being the opportunity to kind of take a step back and work on some of the more strategic type initiatives that I have out there of, whatever I can produce here. I need to not necessarily find exactly myself, but someone that can go be a GM or lead that market for me in San Antonio. It's the same thing in Houston. And obviously, Houston's a whole different beast. So that's kind of where I'd really like to finish off, if you will, in the Golden Triangle side of things. I mean, 5 years from now, I mean, look, if you don't set lofty goals, you're not pushing yourself hard enough, right? So most goals by some of the most successful entrepreneurs have never been reached, and they're still trying to reach for them today. If you were to say, let's throw something against the wall and kind of make it, this is what our goal is. I kind of want to be the kind of the ABCs of exterior, commercial contracting services, right? I want to have a brand out there that's highly thought of in regards to quality work, responsiveness, being professional. I think in the three markets, given the opportunities that are out there and exist, I mean, I don't not sure 5 years is it, but my goal is for us to be a $50 million contracting services company here in the state of Texas.
Love that. I love the clarity of goals and kind of where to take it. Um, you know, as part of that, as part of growth, as a part of kind of what you've been through so far, team building has got to be a part of that.
Yeah.
You've grown. I think you mentioned you have about 6 team members at this point in time. What has been your approach to recruiting and hiring good people to have on your team?
Yeah, it's kind of given where we're at. I mean, so we have recs that are open for all of the markets, and we're out on Indeed and ZipRecruiter and some of those. And I think when you do it long enough, you realize it's the late night folks that are up just trying to look for opportunities and applying, and we'll literally have 20 applicants come in for the day, and maybe one really is legitimate and kind of understands the scope of don't mind bringing someone from outside of the industry, right? I came in from outside of the industry, but was willing to dedicate my time off hours to really go learn and really educate myself about, what does contracting services really look like, right? And what are the trades, and really even just construction 101, which that's, kind of I love construction. It's some of the most fun things that I get to see these folks with these crafty skills do. So, finding a problem, making a client happy, and delivering quality services has probably been the best thing, let alone, right? I mean, exteriors. So I'm not stuck behind a desk anymore. Generally, I'm outside in front of a client or on a project, which is fun. I think I've probably lost a few pounds not having to sit behind a desk as much as I used to. But yeah, it's been fun. And then going back to just that, I think part of it is in some of the other organizations I ran, right, a lot of it's just got to be around culture. It's a flat organization. No one reports to anybody. We all kind of report to the company, and we're all trying to do what's in the best interest of the organization. Right. The project manager I have, I mean, the guy's been in the industry a long time, so these scars are already healed over, and he really kind of knows the do's and don'ts of some of these pieces, and in some respects, he sometimes has corrected me and helped steer me of like, hey, Brian, I don't necessarily think that's how we should approach it, but if you're not learning, you're not growing. So part of it is trying to find folks that, in some respects, professional, articulate, right? You're representing a brand, and you're kind of your goal is to really be the trusted advisor of the client. We don't provide estimates for any first meetings we do. I do not believe in that whatsoever. That's just That's not a sales tactic, I think, in contracting services. It has a bad rap to it for some of the folks that do that. If you can, God bless you, that's great. I'm not pitching against it, but for us, it's more about let's understand the scope of work. In fact, the second time we'll have a meeting, and I don't require the clients to be there because we do exterior work, but I will generally send one of my crews out to go look at that and confirm the scope to make sure that we're on pace with, hey, this is right. There may be some things that I missed. And then obviously we can provide an estimate after that. So it's a little bit, I think, more of a white glove service that we want to offer and make sure that whatever we're saying is what needs to be done versus let's throw something against the wall. Let me get you on a contract and then I'm just going to change order you until death do us apart. So I'm not looking to go down that route.
Oh, that's fantastic. Well, Ryan, I know we've certainly covered a lot of ground so far in the conversation. I want to, take a moment and kind of take a step back and jump into really some rapid fire questions. Pull out some additional nuggets of wisdom from your years of growing and building that the audience can take and kind of implement ideally in their own lives, their own business. So I've got 4 rapid fire questions in total. We'll go kind of as top ahead answer as we can. But the first one here is you look back at kind of your journey overall, not just with Affluent Exteriors, but kind of all the way up even before that. What would you say for you is your key to success?
Probably just dedication. Stay disciplined into what you're doing. I mean, if you're pushing yourself as an entrepreneur, right? I mean, you're generally jumping off. It's the old adage, right? You're jumping off a cliff and building a plane on the way down before you hit the ground. I mean, this isn't my first rodeo. I've had some failures in the past, and I think you definitely learn more from your failures than you do successes. The successes help the bank account a lot more than the failures do. That's for sure. But I mean, I think part of it is just if you really have something you're passionate about, do the best you can to just learn everything you can about it and surround yourself with the people that can help you get there. Right. It's, leadership is about having big goals, but also being able to articulate that goals to a team that believes in that, sees that vision and wants to go be a part of it. So, stay persistent. Don't ever quit. Just don't ever quit.
I like it. So slightly different question. Um, if you could give just one piece of advice for other business owners, and you could only give one, I know there's probably dozens that you could give, but if you could only give one piece of advice for other business owners watching this, they could walk away with, what piece of advice would you give them?
Mm. I still right. I mean, just as many different trials and tribulations that we've gone through, and it's I could write a book. I'm sure most entrepreneurs and business owners have probably been through the same thing. Some of the things we don't like to discuss, right, in regards to just personal business and what have you. But just, I mean, if you're really passionate, just don't quit, no matter what. If you're really passionate about what you're doing, don't quit.
Love it. What's one book that either you're currently reading or have read most recently that you'd recommend to the audience?
It's over here. I need to find it somewhere. I saw this in the questions you were going to ask me. I think it's called The Art of Story. It really goes down to leveraging some 3D software that we use for modeling back patio experiences, decks, and what have you. So it's really about having how to incorporate that into the conversation with clients. It's pretty powerful when on screen they actually see their home as is, and then you flip the switch and they see their home with an entire back patio of a deck and a pool and landscaping and what have you. So I think can't remember the name of it. It's sitting over there, I know, but I'm halfway through it. Really, really impressive book around. Started really for a gentleman that was in the pool business and wanted to do that, and obviously for most folks out there, everyone's back patio experiences, especially because of COVID, which really launched, I think that area is really huge and key for most homeowners nowadays.
I love it. Yeah. Uh, all right. Final rapid fire question. And this one's just kind of fun. If you could choose one area in your business, you only get to choose one. If you could choose one area, you could take some magic dust and just sprinkle it all over that one spot. Wake up tomorrow, it's 10 times better than it is today. Where would you
Easy.
choose to put it?
Estimating. I mean, we're good at it. We're getting better, but just trying to keep up with the volume of meetings and then scope and just really trying to accelerate our ability to provide estimates probably would make obviously our funnel accelerate a little bit faster from meeting to estimates to approvals. But with that also comes the ability to have more contractors support that demand. So it's probably a combination of the two, but estimating is the current hot button of the day.
I like it. So, Brian, for those that are interested to learn a little bit more, to connect with you, to find out all the amazing things that y'all are up to, where can we advise them to go for more information?
So I'm on LinkedIn. I think I have been since the 90s. I think I'm LinkedIn number like 100,000 something. So it was really, really early on date, just to date myself on the IT side. Check us out on the website, www.affluentexteriors.com. If you want to email me, you can reach me at Brian, Brian at affluentexteriors.com. Keep in mind, there are a ton of emails that come there. So it's sometimes better just to hit the website, fill out the form, and that'll at least get you in the system and do the flow. But otherwise, managing multiple clients and projects and what have you, so it may be a little bit slower. But the team is growing. If you're looking for a sales opportunity and want to kind of be on that side of the house, we would love for you to knock on the door or fill out a form and interview you as well. That's kind of one of the areas we need to grow pretty quickly.
Love it. For those that are watching, I'll make sure to put all of that contact information and links and everything in the description here below. I'm always going to encourage, especially since Brian's on LinkedIn here, take a moment, go send him a quick note on LinkedIn. Just say, hey, saw you on the Business Spotlight. Loved the conversation. Going to be following, kind of whatever that is for you, but highly recommend it. Connections is a big piece, especially here in our Central Texas Business Spotlight series. But Brian, as we wrap up, I'd like to finish on one final question, and that is simply, what is most inspiring to you today?
Um, just really passionate about what I'm doing. I love helping people fix problems, especially when it comes to their home or just whatever the issue is for the day. So love meeting new people, right? We're all out there just trying to get through the day sometimes in this crazy world. And sometimes it's good just to have simple conversations and not even worry about construction. So it's been a real kind of blessing just to kind of bring it all back home and meet a lot of really cool people.
Amazing. Brian, thank you so much for taking the time. This has been a true pleasure to hear your journey, hear the lessons you've learned over a number of years, and then applying a lot of that here in the new business. Excited to see the growth as y'all continue to move forward over the next few years. So thank you for
Me
taking the
as
time and
well,
being
Tanner.
here.
Me as well. I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you today.
Of course.